This is the June 2nd, 2017 Small Business Accounting Advisors. We'll have a short recording today, talking and not recording, so now we just started late.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Yes, better late than never.
That's right. And Linda, you wanted to talk about your training event yesterday.
Yes, I went down to San Diego for the advanced QuickBooks Online training. Now I'm trying to remember that there were two people who taught. One was a standard default presenter, and the other one was Bruce Orney. And they were both excellent presenters. It was easier for me to hear his voice because hers is a higher frequency. I'm trying to remember, is it Shelley?
Shelley Robbins?
No, it wouldn't have been her.
Was it Katie Peterson?
No.
Heather Slattery?
The problem is I can't, she's tall and she's thin and she's blonde. She was very good.
So like
and they were both, and I'll tell you, I've also signed up to go to the one July 13th, Thursday, July 13th in Long Beach, and it's worth it just for the food. No, I've never seen them serve food like this before. They had a snack, they had breakfast, and obviously breakfast was a lot of croissants, but they had some other things. I can't remember what they were. They had snacks, which was, they had like salmon slices on rye bread. This was mid-morning. They had roasted honeyed walnuts, which I could eat. They had hummus. They had grilled vegetables. They had turkey, ham, you know, the normal stuff in that. So it was really quite
hungry.
I didn't hear that.
She said she's getting hungry.
Oh, yeah. Well, Mark will get you some food soon.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Oh, my God.
It's dinner.
So, yeah, it's 6 o'clock. So, afterwards, I asked the lady sitting next to me, where could I go for dinner? Because one of the things, when I go to a place like San Diego, I don't like to try to get out on the roads at 5 o'clock at night because it's like madhouse. So I asked the lady next to me, I said, is there a place near here, a restaurant you'd recommend going to? She said, oh, yeah, there's this place called Phil's Barbecue. Oh, my God. They have ribs that are to die for. Legendary. We went in at 5 o'clock. A friend of mine from LA was down there and she met me. And we went in at 5 o'clock and the line was probably about 20 minutes long. It was out the door and around the corner. And that was at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday afternoon. But it moved along quite quickly and it was just delicious. And it was a fun experience. And everybody that was there were a lot of new people there like us, and there were a lot of regulars, and it just was a lot of fun. So it's fun to discover a new restaurant.
So do you feel more prepared to take the test, or you're going to wait until July to do it again and then try the test, or how are you going to approach it?
You get 4 tries on the test.
Right.
So a lot of us in the room were like networking and talking together. So one of the ladies there had actually taken the test one time before she came. And so she knew what she had passed and she knew what she needed to get. So she paid more attention in the training to what she needed to get. And one of the things that they would do, they ran over the outline of the test as far as the subjects, the modules you study in that. Right. And they said, well, we're not going to cover this part as deeply because they don't go as deep on it in the test. But if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask your question. So, and we got lots of good questions. One of the things I did not realize, which I think really awesome for QuickBooks Online, is you could use it. You could use either its classes or its locations. Now, there's a difference between classes and locations, and they explain that. Basically, classes are only targets. You know, in QuickBooks database, they have sources and targets. Locations can both be both sources and targets. So location is better to use if you want to get a balance sheet with it.
Oh, okay.
Because use locations as if they were classes rather than classes. Somebody they knew had like 300 separate LLC companies, property management or flipping houses kind of thing. They had them in one QuickBooks Online data file.
Wow.
There's no payroll, so they don't need the EIN. They can use any EIN. And then they split everything out by location, and they had 300 different P&Ls in the same data file. No limit on names. There's no limit on a lot of things. So there is actually some things you can do better in QuickBooks Online. Way you can use the same, well, you got to be maybe careful about them, but use the same checking account or put all the checking accounts in the one data file.
Right.
But I know you wouldn't have to
you'd have to have, each LLC is required to have its own checking account, but you'd have 300 checking accounts in one wow.
Yeah, 300 checking accounts to reconcile every month? That's insane.
Well, you're required to. I mean, you have to run each LLC as its own business for legal protection.
I hear what you're saying, but how would anybody know that?
Because the checks have to be made out to the LLC, and the way to bank it into you'd have to deposit the money into an LLC checking account.
Got it. You
can't.
So it would have a separate name. Now, what's very interesting.
You have to have, separate EINs, separate business names, doing business as separate businesses. That's how you get the legal protection.
Got it. Well, anyway, it turns out that other than what you're saying about that you're really supposed to have a separate checking account, and you could have a separate checking account for each one, especially if you got free checking accounts. Yeah. But it turns out that on all the invoices and things like that, for each one of the locations, you can have different, instead of pulling the main company name and address, you could set up 300 different company names.
Yeah, but you'd have to have, into one accounts receivable? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you would. You would. Oh, yes, you would. Oh, but if it's houses and you're flipping houses, you don't have customers.
No, and you don't really have AR. So that's the thing. You have to sit back and look at the whole scenario. What kind of LLCs are being done? Blah 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 blah. So what I was trying to get across on Facebook was that we can't have these pat answers. We can't say can't do this.
You're right.
You can't do this. It depends. You gotta step back.
That's totally right.
Look at the entire situation, and hey, we're pulling up to the hotel. All right, I've got to hop out, get dressed, and make it for a 7 o'clock reservations. You guys have a wonderful weekend.
Have fun, Sarah.
And talk to us next week. We'll be watching for you.
All righty. Bye.
Bye. Here I am waving, and I'm not there. You can't see. Who's Elizabeth?
Virtual wave.
There you go.
Oh, she's
doing Quick QBO regular testing this week also. But Larry, you did it virtually?
Yes, I had one in person in Long Island, and then the next week they had virtual. In fact, that was a Woodard production.
Dennis, we can hear you. Thank you.
Did you hear me?
No, we didn't hear you, Larry. Can you say it again?
Okay. 1 week I went to an in-person conference or training here on Long Island, and the next week, Woodard Group presented their VCon for training.
And so did you find much difference between the two?
There was a little difference. Actually, the thing that I liked about the VCon online, was you could download from the resources file all the training slides.
That's right, you can.
So I thought that was really a big plus in their bucket. The only other thing that I noticed in the in-person one, I think Michelle Long leaked out a couple of really good. She made some good emphasis on some parts that we would probably see on the exam.
And you will be able to ask questions when you're watching virtually, not so much.
Right. They wouldn't answer the exact same question, but they would give some hints that would get you in the ballpark.
Right, right.
Larry, we were told the link on the QuickBooks Pro Advisor site in order to get to the PowerPoint slide deck that they used.
So you had PowerPoint slides too, Linda?
Yeah, they had them. They used those in our advanced training. And I believe they were there the day before for the regular training and certification. And I'm trying to see if I can find it right now. I'm thinking maybe I can find who was the teacher yesterday. I'm kind of looking through my...
Sandy was going to the one the day before.
She wasn't, she did, but the next day, the day I was there was her birthday. It was her 35th birthday, and somebody did to her and her son a day at Disneyland.
Okay.
Well,
Disneyland,
you don't...
take a test. I know what I would pick.
Yes, me too. Yeah, I'm not quite sure where I find the training things. Maybe I'll just go back and Google it, because if I Google it, it'll probably, let's see, QuickBooks training. How's that? Okay. Somebody else should talk for a few minutes. I'm trying to find this online.
Okay, well, I do have a question for Dennis.
Okay.
I have a friend who got an IRS letter that was requesting, they said, due to security issues, we want you to call us or we will not process your tax return until you do. We want to verify you are who you are. Have you ever seen a letter like that?
I have not.
That was the first time I've ever seen it.
What I would do if I were them is that I would call the IRS number that's on the website.
That's exactly what I told him.
Because you don't know. I mean, it's not likely that you got scammers sending out mail.
And it looked like the regular IRS letters that I'm used to seeing, but it wasn't like what are the ones you usually call CP?
CP 2000 is one I see most often. That's where you have a discrepancy.
Right. It wasn't anything about that. It was, we'd like to verify, due to security reasons, we'd like you to verify who you are. And until we hear from you, we will not be processing your tax return.
Was that, did it have
I've seen
number?
those.
Oh.
I know identity theft's a big deal now, but
I know it is. But I told him exactly what you said, Dennis. Go to the irs.gov site, get the telephone number there, and with the letter in your hand, call them.
Yeah.
You'll have the reference number and everything that you need to verify at that point.
Yeah.
Don't use the 800 number that's on the letter. So you say that it's legitimate, Gabrielle? Did we lose her? Oh, there you are.
I don't know what happened. I dropped off.
So Gabriella, you said you've seen these?
Yeah, I had somebody who had their identity stolen. And then I also had somebody who was very complicated. Somebody had an idea, somebody else financed it, they had a big blow up, and so the guy took the company and the other guy said, no, you can't keep it. And so there was like a 6-week period where payroll was bouncing and all kinds of crap and all that stuff. And so for that company, we got letters that said, there's a lot of problems, we don't understand what's going on, what the heck, call us because we're not going to finish processing this until we know what the heck's going on. And it happens to be the same person who had also had their identity stolen that got a letter that said, we want proof that you are who you say you are before we're willing to complete your return. And that person also happens to be a very, very high income person, millions of dollars income person. So, yeah, I saw one years and years and
usually you notify the
I'm sorry?
IRS because, like, for example, you'll get a message saying that the tax return's already been filed.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to remember.
That's
I
the
think
way, that's the way my clients are, the ones that had their identity stolen, that's the way they find out is they try to go process it, file the return and you get this message saying that someone's already e-filed this tax return. And
Well,
so
that was my concern. I have never known
Right.
the IRS to be proactive.
yeah,
I
that
have
sounds
seen
kind of
things
funny to
like
me.
you, Dennis, where, this tax return is already filed, then you have to contact them and get
Yeah,
that
I would be suspicious of that.
all that kind of stuff. But
I
I've
would be
never seen-
suspicious if they're asking you, if you're getting somebody asking you to confirm. I mean, what's unusual is that usually you'll get that kind of as an email. You won't get it as a letter, but they're getting more sophisticated,
So
So-
maybe they really did come up with somebody that did, and it didn't look like what he was used to sending in. So, and then they got his, and now they're saying, okay, we want to check which one's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but
this person that I had it. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's possible, but it just seems like it's more likely to be the other way around. Because IRS is so overwhelmed with work that although they're devoting more resources to identity theft, so maybe
And
that's
technology is getting better and better, so it is possible. Go ahead, Gabriella.
But you know what Dennis just said? The person that I experienced this with, this came up like 8-9 months after the return was filed, that there was like a conflict and something had been filed and we're not sure that you are who you say you are. So yeah, they're still overwhelmed. There's still a time lag.
yeah.
For sure. And I saw something a very long time ago and I hadn't seen it again until I saw this 2 or 3 years ago with this person. So it's not a common thing, but I don't know what the number is for businesses, but we all have 829-1040 memorized, I'm sure. So
If you go to
you
the
can
IRS,
always start there.
yeah, if you go to the IRS website, they've got. I think if you go to, it should tell you the business line, for
Right,
IRS.
right.
Yeah.
Or if he's got a CPA or whatever, they have a CPA call them and.
No, he's not a high-powered person.
Oh,
He does
okay.
his own return every year.
Oh, okay.
Pretty simple, very close to being a Schedule 1040A.
Oh, okay.
Investment or two, so he doesn't qualify for that. So
Right.
there's not a whole lot of complications there. But he did say that he got a notice from the place that he worked at like a couple years ago that they thought that there was a security breach.
Hmm.
So
If it's real, if it's actually real, it sounds like an identity theft issue. Here in Southern California, there's a lot of people that use fake social security numbers and fake names.
Yeah.
Right.
across the United States too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
1-800-829-1040. That's where I would direct them.
Yeah, just be very careful.
Yep, and just have a speakerphone because you'll be sitting there waiting for a while.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Headset speaker.
Unless you get a cursey disconnect.
I try to call first thing in the morning as soon as they're open.
Hmm.
I
actually had pretty good luck. I had called one on, it was like, only waited like 10 minutes. It was for waiver of a penalty, first time abatement penalty waiver, so I was able to get right in. But then it took another half hour or so to try to fax stuff to them. That was so screwed up. So by the time I saved on not waiting on the phone, we get to screw around and having technology problems with the fax machine. So it was like,
Wow, wow.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can, Linda.
Okay, because what I did was I said hide non-video participants and all of my things disappeared off the screen. I found the name of the teacher. It was Laura Redmond.
that's what I thought.
And she was-
That sounds like
Laura Redmond and Bruce Forney, and they are going to be in Long Beach. I plan on going to the modules of training in the Pro Advisor training section and taking maybe I'll go take the test one time and go through the modules, or go through the modules and take the test and then go back on July 13th and be ready to pick up what I don't have. But I learned lots of stuff and about workarounds and things like that. And a lot of it, it's more like essay type.
That's you, Dennis. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm going to mute you again. No, wasn't you, Dennis? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Linda.
No, that was all. They went into a lot of detail. I got a lot of help on that client that I have that I'm cleaning up for QuickBooks Online, that brought the QuickBooks for Mac file into QuickBooks Online without any cleanup at all.
Right.
And it may be a mistake, but because she didn't come to me until the middle of May, I really didn't want to go back to the QuickBooks for Mac, clean her up, or take it from QuickBooks to Mac to desktop and then clean it up and then take it to QB Online. So what we're going to have to do, it's just going to be all messed up. They have 5 different sales tax payable accounts on their chart of accounts.
Wow.
They have one that's named California Franchise Tax Board Sales Tax Payable. They've got a couple others. I mean, it's like, and the first part of it was on QuickBooks for Mac, and then they brought it all into QuickBooks for Online, QuickBooks Online. And there's just all these payments flow. Plus, they use the app Ivy Mark for bringing all the invoices and the AR into QuickBooks. And so I'm going to clean it up so they can use it this year. And then at the end of November, beginning of December, we'll get it ready to have a brand new QuickBooks Online file that'll work properly and that'll have proper numbers. Because it would take so much time and money to clean it up, it really wouldn't be worth it. I'm just going to get rid of the stuff to get it out of the way, and so they can actually do the regular things. And what we do have to work with Ivy to make sure Ivy is bringing everything in properly.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So.
All righty, we are about at the 6:30 mark, so I'm going to end our recording for today. Gabriel,
got it.
Back next week, please. We'll give you a proper introduction. We'll talk about onboarding processes.
Right. I'll have a new laptop.
and you'll have your new laptop, Linda.
Yes, I will.
All righty, everyone.
Okay. Thank you for coming, Gabriella.